Hello, this is Michael Silva. In episode 45, we discussed the request for proposal RFP process. In this episode, we are going to talk about how to properly prepare a proposal in response to an RFP. Once you have made the decision to respond to an RFP, it is recommended that you take the following steps. Number 1, completely read the RFP in its entirety from cover to cover. Read thoroughly. Don't skim. Highlight items that you think are significant. Note any limitations on proposal length that the client may have specified. Number 2, completely read the RFP again, but this time, as you go along, create a checklist of every item that the client has requested that you include in your proposal. Number 3, if the RFP requires that proposals be submitted in a specific format, create an outline of this format. This outline would typically include separate sections for things such as qualifications, project experience, project team, project approach, proposed fees, and other such items, arranged in the order that the client prefers to see them. Number 4, if the RFP does not specify a proposal format, use your own format similar to the one that you use in your informal proposals. Guidelines for writing an informal proposal were discussed in episode 44 of this series. Number 5, begin to prepare your proposal. Using your outline, begin to fill in the information under each section. Look at your checklist as you go along to identify items that should be included in each section. Gradually work on all sections until the first draft of your proposal is complete. Number 6, fill out all forms as requested in the RFP. Provide any requested attachments that the client may have specified, such as resumes, certificates of insurance, and copies of licenses. Number 7, when your draft proposal, including all forms and attachments, is complete, go through your checklist again to make sure that all requested items have been provided. Be sure that the number of pages in your proposal doesn't exceed any limits that were stated by the client. Number 8, carefully proofread your proposal, and if possible, have a second and third person proofread it as well. The more eyes that examine a document, the better the chances that mistakes will be caught. Number 9, make any final changes that are needed and prepare your proposal for submission to the client. RFPs usually provide specific instructions on how many copies of the proposal are to be provided and how it is to be printed and bound. Many clients today may also request an electronic copy of the proposal in addition to or in place of printed copies. Number 10, submit your proposal prior to the specified deadline. If possible, deliver your proposal using a method that provides proof of delivery. Here are some additional thoughts on the RFP and proposal preparation process. First, make the decision early as to whether or not to respond to a formal RFP to allow ample time to prepare the proposal. Don't wait until the last minute to get started. Second, keep the materials that you will likely need when preparing proposals readily available at all times. This can include previously prepared descriptions of your qualifications and experience, project narratives, references, letter of recommendation, resumes, and copies of licenses and certifications. Having this information on hand can keep you from scrambling to find it at the last minute. Third, when using previously prepared materials or copying and pasting from old proposals, be sure that all information is completely relevant to the current proposal. Don't sacrifice the quality of your proposal by using outdated or inappropriate materials just to save time. Be especially careful to check that names, places, and dates are accurate. It is extremely embarrassing to have a sentence pasted in from a previous proposal that says something like, "We are excited to have this opportunity to work with the Happy Valley School District," when the proposal is actually being submitted to the Clover Park School District. Fourth, understand that a surprising number of proposals are rejected or poorly scored because they don't clearly address the requirements stated in the RFP. This is because many proposers assume that they know what the client needs better than the client does. They prepare their proposal based on their preconceptions rather than in what is written in the RFP. Read the RFP carefully and assume that the client wants everything that they say they want, even if you think you know better. Fifth, prepare and submit your proposal exactly as instructed in the RFP. If you have an alternative project approach that is better, cheaper, or faster, ask the client for permission to include an explanation of this approach in a separate attachment to the proposal. Never propose alternative approaches within the main body of the proposal. Sixth, unless specifically prohibited by the instructions, make use of photos, charts, and other graphics within your proposal when they can help you to better communicate your message. Seventh, if there are any requirements that you can't or don't wish to comply with, ask the client about these in advance. For example, many RFPs will request detailed personal financial information, something that some consultants refuse to provide. If you ask in advance, you may get the requirement waived, but if you simply leave it out of your proposal without asking, your proposal may be disqualified. Eighth, if you are an out-of-town consultant competing against local consulting firms, you are most often operating at a serious disadvantage. If you choose to go forward despite this disadvantage, have a strategy in place to explain why your lack of a local office will not be a problem and why it will not increase costs to the client. Clearly explain your strategy in your proposal in advance. Don't try to avoid the issue. Ninth, if you have strong qualifications in most areas of skill that the RFP is requesting, but are lacking in a few areas, consider forming a teaming arrangement with one or more other consultants. Also considering a teaming arrangement when the project may be too big for you to handle alone or is spread out over a large geographical area. We will talk more about the specifics of teaming with other consultants in a later episode.